Welcome, guys, to my YouTube channel, Jordan Kensington. Subscribe. Um, Today, we talk about what's going on in the California fires. I haven't really addressed it so much on this channel, but I thought, today is the best time to just go through it this morning. I mean, it is quite disappointing what's happening, and my condolences go out to everyone who has, lost life, property, stock, much more for 2025. I mean, as it goes, it's just weird, and it's a funny one. I didn't really want to do a vlog about this, but I think people need to ask the right questions because it just doesn't make any sense. Um, but it does also leave us to start thinking more about God during this time, and also understanding how important it is to really get into prayers, get into connecting with God, get into making sure our relationship with God is straight, because the things that are happening in the world, they are literally evil entities wanting to destroy humanity. These things don't look normal at all. We're going to play some clips from most of what's been going on, just to catch up on some of the things that have been going on from California to, I think we'll touch on, people's views as well. Just bear with me because it is quite, it's been heavily reported. So what I've done is I've just compiled as many clips as I can from Instagram, online, and different sources as well.
Moved into 2025. But 2024 drones were speculated to be UFO or alien in nature, but the understanding of these drones and their sightings has kind of shifted to being more private contract or military aligned rather than alien sensationalism.
The one closest. Yep, that's a drone. That's low. Now look at above it comes another drone. Holy crap. It's great. Go Bedminster. Go Bedminster. It's China.
But the questions are still lingering as everyone's just becoming used to seeing these things hovering above their towns. After all, these drones looking for? What are they surveilling? Are we being told to look at the drones while something else is happening in the other direction? Now, President-elect Trump has said that he'll be releasing details on these drones his first day in office. And other Republican governors have reported seeing drones over nuclear reactors and infrastructure.
What happened to drones?
Well, you said that you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. Hey, I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about.
On New Year's Eve, we had excessive social media coverage of a fog that blanketed much of the UK, Canada, and even parts of the US. With this fog, there were reports of sickness and residue covering everything it touched. Even Florida was reporting a strange midday fog. On the last night of 2024, lightning struck the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and the One World Trade Center. Maybe symbolic, maybe full of meaning, maybe void of meaning entirely, who knows? Then in the morning hours of New Year's, the New Orleans attack occurred with a man driving a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street. As a result, the governor of Louisiana declared a state of emergency, and aside from a clearly staged sort of set, like there was a news anchor lady going into the attacker's house the day after and finding a Quran open to, a convenient page of meant to emphasize intent with mood lighting and all of that around it, much like a set.
His Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam, and his prayer rug just to the left of me here.
Again, not a lot of info on this guy. Not a lot of info they released at all, and except for him being former military at a very specific military base. I just kind of wrote him off as being an activated sleeper cell in an effort.
So that was some of the things that have happened at the start leading up to this California fires. Maybe not heavily reported, but there's been a lot of things happening all simultaneously so far. And when you look at it, it is quite suspicious. You know, that's one thing you can actually say, that it is definitely quite suspicious, because you know, that's not something that should keep happening like that. So it is quite suspicious. We're going to look at other stuff as well. I feel like there's other stuff that we'll see. This is what this guy thinks of what's happening in
They're
California.
talking about something completely irrelevant. Oregon sent 60 fire trucks, only for them to get stopped in San Francisco for, guess what? Emissions testing, which they're probably not going to pass. The whole state's on fire, and they're finding a reason to not allow 60 more fire trucks to come help us out. That sounds like they want us to burn. I am in shock. I'm pissed. I don't know what to do. I'm actually going to have to evacuate. Like, you guys don't understand. Where this fire is, my house is like right there. Like, I'm right here. What a scam. They just talked to the senator of California, and here's the update. They're talking about something completely irrelevant. Oregon sent 60 fire trucks, only for them to get stopped in San Francisco for, guess what? Emissions testing, which they're probably not going to pass. The whole state's on fire.
Emissions testing. You got to think about this, right? The whole state of California is on fire, and what they need is help. Oregon sends fire trucks. Mexico is sending firefighters. South Africa is sending firefighters. California itself ran out of water. Before the actual fire in California, it was said that the insurance was actually cancelled. Doesn't it seem a bit suspicious? And it also doesn't seem like a bit similar to what happened in Maui with the stuff in Maui. It is quite suspicious that's happening, and I feel like people need to be asking the right questions, especially people that are losing their houses. People are losing a lot of stuff. Family members are being dislocated to other places. They should be asking the right questions, because and I also feel like people need to pray, not just for California, but for other parts of the world that this is happening. I'm going to play a video from Ghana later on as well, where the biggest market in Ghana just got burned, which is quite suspicious as well. These are all things that are happening in real time. This is the aftermath of the California fire, which is, to say the least.
These patterns, structures obliterated while vegetation remains intact, raises serious questions. Could advanced technologies like direct energy weapons be responsible? The consistency of these anomalies across multiple disasters demands answers. Wake up, people. What is going on? Drone footage over Eden Canyon reveals shocking
direct energy weapons. If you don't know about direct energy weapons, this has been used by the military for years. Sometimes people are a little bit scared to talk about it because this is classified information, but this is is known. Most people ask you, well, why would direct energy weapons want to be used on people? We live in a very dark world, and when people start getting up and realizing that this is why you have to choose God in everything you do, this is why you have to pray, this is why you have to be closer to God, this is why you have to be more spiritual, is because we live in a very dark world, and a lot of things that are happening today is a mirror of what the world is actually like. We always say, the Bible says you're not fighting against flesh and blood, but principalities in governmental and heavenly places, and evil principalities, should I say. People are evil, right? And from diseases to viruses to direct energy weapons, there's a lot of things going on that we should not just only ask questions. We should put ourselves in constant prayer and to ensure that when these things happen, we're able to survive. And it's so important.
Palisades, all the way to Pasadena, Hollywood Hills, Studio City, then Calabasas, and then there was another one that was just lit in Pacoima minutes ago. There's just no other explanation that someone is lighting these fires. Apparently, they had someone in custody for the Calabasas one that just happened. That's right near me. My whole entire car is packed, just waiting for something bad to happen because you don't know when it's going to happen. It's unpredictable. So that's really, all I have right now. If you have updates, please let me know. But someone is setting these fires in Los Angeles. So quick update from Calabasas.
So yeah, I mean, his take on it. So everyone is putting their 2 cents. He's not wrong. He's not wrong in thinking that someone could be involved in lighting the fires. But the problem is, I feel like whoever is involved in lighting the fires now is kind of like the direct energy weapon has already been used, and we just need they just need a culprit. It's like members of acting agents, basically. So you now start blaming the people. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of people being arrested for starting fires and things like that. And it's kind of a distraction tactic. And people need to wake up to that and don't be distracted. Because I saw there's a famous model turned activist, Leilani Dowling, and I saw a post she made where she was saying diversity is the cause of this. Because the mayor, caught the amount of firefighters that were, to be given jobs in California. I don't think that's what it is. I think when you start bringing diversity in, you're now opening a race war. It's not about race. This is not about you're literally distracting from the main issue. A whole state cannot just go up in fire because of climate issues. This makes no sense at all, especially when we saw what happened in Maui. What happened in Maui, no one has actually looked into it. That made no sense at all. And I think the more people are not asking the right questions, and the more people are being very distracted, the more we will actually not get to the bottom of it. And the reality is that what happened in California can happen anywhere. And if you look at what they got planned, if you look at what happened, with COVID and everything else, what you will see is that if these things are not dealt with, right, you will find it happening in different places. It has to be dealt with. People have to kind of like get on the case. And then you also look at, people that predicted it. This lady here spoke over a year or 2 years ago, predicting something like this happening.
This is on your site, stopthecrime.net.
Yes, and I am, of course, M. Deborah Taveras, and I run the website stopthecrime.net, where you can find that plan to burn up Northern California as well. But the agenda here today by the perpetrators here in Northern California was to, again, discuss the community warning program, preparing for a more resilient county. Now, for many of you, I've reported on resilient cities. I would recommend that you go to the YouTube Kill Cities by Rothschild and Rockefeller to understand what resilient planning is all about in your town. This is happening here in Sonoma County, but it's an extension of UN Agenda 21 policies. And go over some of the things that I heard in this meeting.
This is crazy. She's from stopthecrime.net. Which is a prominent activist website, which I think if you've got some time, check it out. Stopthecrime.net. A few years ago, she reported that there was going to be fires in California. It seems that a lot of people have been predicting this, but no one's been hearing. It's falling, like with many things, it falls on deaf ears because everyone thinks, no, this can never happen, right? That's what everyone always thinks. But the reality of it is that you're dealing with an enemy that you think is a friend, and that's the issue. And why I care so much about those people in California is the same way I care about the people in Ghana, whose markets just got obliterated. And the reason I care for them is that, you know, these are evil things that are happening in the world. That it can be stopped if people decide to turn to God. The reality is that we as a human race have become so ego driven, so materialistic that we don't want to, you know, turn to God. And we have to really turn to God and ask Him for help and really pray and be really humble about it. Because only when these crazy things happen to us and to countries like that, we all decide to, hey, you know what? I need to pray. I need to connect. Well, we need to start connecting now. Countries that are looking at what's happening in California, looking at what's happening around the world, should be looking at themselves and seeing what's going to happen. There's a lady called Ali Carter. She's been exposing a lot of, you know, pedophilia and stuff in the industry. And she mentioned this a few years ago that this was going to happen. And her take on it is that this what's happening in California or the fires is to cover evidence of, you know, child molestation and things that happen there. And what better way to do it than to cover the whole place with fire, and then evidence gets lost. You know, you can't dismiss everybody's take on what they're saying, because you'd be very surprised when you live in a very dark place. Some things that you think are not possible are in fact truly possible.
I'm really on the fence about this conspiracy theory, but it's starting to make more and more sense. If the fires are tied in with Diddy, they must be covering some deep shit if they're willing to burn down a whole city. It has to be something big. There's 1,000 other ways to destroy little things like Diddy tapes. They did say that Hollywood would go up in flames after the downfall of Diddy. The Diddler's former mansion is also untouched. Isn't that the first thing they'd want to burn to the ground? Ali Carter was also live today saying, "I told you so." I tried to search her account to see if there was an update. It's just gone. Are the fires a huge cover-up of Hollywood, or is this just a conspiracy theory? Tell me what you think in the comments.
The fires a huge cover-up. Those are questions that people ask, but I think it's deeper than that. The rabbit hole is deeper than that. It's not just a huge cover-up. There's also smart cities. You know, you'll be surprised in 4 or 5 years, or maybe even sooner, places like Maui, places like California will be turned into a smart city. Those are places that they want to have this smart city idea where everything is linked together. And it's so deep that, you know, it's kind of similar to what happened in I would say allegedly, because I don't want to get sued, allegedly what happened in Grenfell. Grenfell was a piece of property in the Kensington district in London, Chelsea district to be exact, which, you know, was in a piece of land that was valuable to everybody. People have been trying to buy this land for ages, and they wouldn't sell. They were trying to buy, they wouldn't sell. And the people that were living there, of course, were the poorest people. And one day they decided to burn the whole building down, right? And, you know, these are things that you think, nah, it's never going to happen, right? This is nobody be thinking of things like that. But you're dealing with people that don't think in the way that you think, you know, and that's one thing when you talk about evil people, they're not thinking in the way that you think. Let's see this one. Let's see the take on this. That's security camera recording a direct energy weapon in Los Angeles at 3 a.m. before the fires. So when you see stuff like that, it starts making you think. You know, as I said, nobody will have answers to questions when the enemy plans and attacks. You might not have answers to all questions, but you have to ask the right questions. You have to ask yourself, what's all this going on in the world at the same time? There's flooding in certain countries, there's fire in certain countries. What's actually happening? The fact that we just remain calm and, you know, nobody wants to dive into the real issues of what's happening is an issue. Three major fires in Los Angeles, California started all at the same time. Look at what's that. These are the things we have to look into. You have to look into what's going on. But the most important thing, I feel like people need. This is my bit of Bible, because it's being used. Is this? You need your Bible in times where you don't actually know what's going on. In times where you see, and also, I think it's so important. I was doing a morning devotion the other day, and I said it's so important to pray for the world. Sometimes you pray for what you know, you pray for what's around you because you're like, well, it's not affecting me, so I don't need to think about that right now. However, I think as someone, a member of society, the onus is on you to pray for people as well.
Strange about these LA fires everyone's been tagging me. The first weird thing that I noticed is that insurance companies dropped fire coverage 3 months before the fire started. And many people have reported electrical wires from the power grid causing these fires. And of course, the water supply has been cut off. And don't you think it's a bit weird in this picture that all of the trees stay standing but the houses aren't? Of course, this is for educational purposes only, and I'm not claiming anything. And then we go to Google and type in 2028 Smart LA City. What a coincidence, they want to build a smart city in LA. And of course, it's a lot easier to build a whole city if there's no buildings there. Of course, this is just for educational purposes only, and I hope everyone is safe over there. Thank you.
For educational purposes only, of course, you have to say that, and also what we're doing for educational purposes only. But at the same time, I urge people to look into it and put the people of California in prayer, put the people out there in prayer, because these are things that are happening on a day-to-day basis, and these are things that we need to be talking about and asking the right questions. We need to be praying about. We need to be getting closer to God at this time of our lives, because it's going to come to a point where the devil is working overtime. The devil is working.
What an eventful start to 2020.
The devil is working overtime, so we have to definitely not, just sit down and just pretend not to be seeing what's going on. It's so important. It's so important, I think. I think I've lost connection there. Let me get you something else that was going on that I want to share. 1 second.
What's going on? Drone footage over Eden Canyon reveals shocking anomalies. Untouched trees next to buildings reduced to rubble. Melted cars with liquefied aluminum. And destruction eerily similar to the fires in Santa Rosa, Maui, and Paradise. These patterns, structures obliterated while vegetation remains intact, raises serious questions. Could advanced technologies like direct energy weapons be responsible? The consistency of these anomalies across multiple disasters demands answers. Wake up, people. What is going on? Drone footage over Eden Canyon reveals shocking anomalies. Untouched trees next to buildings reduced to rubble. Melted cars with liquefied aluminum. And destruction eerily similar to the fires in Santa Rosa, Maui, and Paradise. These patterns, structures obliterated while vegetation remains intact, raises serious questions. Could advanced technologies like direct energy weapons be responsible? The consistency of these anomalies across multiple disasters demands answers.
Definitely be asking questions. So I urge everybody to ask questions. Keep the people of Maui in your prayers. Keep the people of California in your prayers. Keep the people of Ghana. A huge market in Ghana just got burnt all the way down. One of the biggest markets in Ghana. Keep them in prayer. And all over the world, there are small things happening that are not being reported by the mainstream, but these things are actually happening on a day-to-day basis. So I urge you guys to keep them in prayer as well, because that's what we need to do in the world today. That we see all this stuff happening. That's what we need to do. We need to start not ignoring it, and not saying, "Hey, this is it's just another thing." We just need to start putting it in prayer. We also need to start, getting closer to God spiritually, not just because we feel like, you go to church every Sunday. Um, we need to definitely 100% start getting closer to God, so that when this kind of things happen close to us or to family members, we know what to do. We need to understand how to fight that war spiritually. So yeah, I'm going to be talking more about coverage. I'm going to speak to a few people, not today, but maybe throughout the week. We're going to find people who are connected to what happened in California, some people who live in California. I've got friends over there. In fact, we've done events, we've launched stuff in California in the past, and we are going to be reaching out to victims and bringing them on the show to share their own stories as well, because I think it's so important that their stories are shared as much as possible, especially for what they're going through. So I think it's important. So we are going to connect with people on that level. So yeah, I just thought I should throw my 2 cents on it. Don't want to go too deep into what's going on. I just think on the surface level, um, prayers are needed. Prayers are needed as much as possible, and I think it's us to do it. There you could see the capabilities. I don't want to go too far. I'm saying green enough for educational purposes only, but you can see the capabilities of man-made weapons, right? They're capable of doing things that um, you know can destroy a whole place. I want to say allegedly. I want to say for educational purposes, but what's happening in the world seems very orchestrated. And I think we as human beings who are children of God, as I said, you can't be scared. Fear is false evidence appearing real. But you have to be prepared. Yeah, you have to be prepared mentally. You have to be prepared spiritually. You have to be prepared physically of what's going on, because the fight is everywhere. The fight is with your health, with the food that you're eating. So much chemicals in the food nowadays. The fight is with religion. So many confusion in how to connect to God. The fight is with physical warfare. Literally when we started. Well, the end of last year, people were talking about how they were spotting aliens in the sky, and they were seeing UFOs and things like that. All stuff like that is just distraction, I think, in order to kind of like usher in, the stuff you're seeing today. So when I see things like California burn up, I really feel for those people, because it is the start of something that can be prevented. And the only way those kind of things can be prevented is if uh, the people who humble themselves and call God by his name humble themselves wholeheartedly and beg God to come down and help. And that's the only way I see humanity being saved. If not, humanity will self destruct itself. You're seeing it happening every day. You're seeing it happening every single day. So the only way to kind of like actually save yourself is to connect to God, humble yourself, and spiritually pray for God to help you. So my prayers are out to everyone from California, um, and to anyone who's watching. Share, subscribe, and put your 2 cents in, contribute to what you think is going on. Because what do you think is going on? Um, I've said you can't be a passive spectator to what you're seeing happening in the world. You can be. If you live in a bubble, that's great. But when you understand that what's affecting your neighbor next door, when the commandment says love thy neighbors as you love yourself, what's affecting your neighbor next door will be affecting you. So you can't sleep peacefully knowing that somewhere around the other world, another side of the world, some people don't have a house. Some people used to have a house a week or 2 weeks ago, don't have a house, are homeless. Some people just bought their first house, spend millions of pounds or millions of dollars to buy their first house, and they've lost it all in this fire, just like that. And insurance cut fire insurance to them just a few weeks prior to the fire, and nobody thinks it's suspicious, right? So it is weird, and my heart goes out to them. My heart goes out to everyone who's going through those circumstances. My prayers are out to you guys too, and hopefully everyone will get involved in praying for them as much as possible. Take care, guys. Have a good Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment where you are logged in from and what you think about what's going on in California. Have a great day. God bless you all. And the message is clear. Keep close to God. Keep your prayers strong and keep connected to the Almighty, our Father in heaven, because He's the only person that can save us. Take care. Have a good weekend.